Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and we are chatting in cars. This is a podcast where I choose random topics and discuss them at length on a tangent, ramble through some kind of ashes, my reality. Anyway, I see you've noticed that I'm over 30. What reality, oh god. I'm currently driving back from my Monday, fuck you too, guy. Monday work. So, yeah, things are going to be a bit distracted until I get out into the main road. Right, hang on a sec, intersections. Not today, motherfucker. Today is Monday, this is the second half of the day. I'm trying to catch up, so, sorry, I'm already going on a tangent. This podcast contains swearing in case you haven't noticed already. There is a disclaimer at the start, you don't have to believe anything I believe. Of course you are your own individual and an adult, I would hope, given the rating I have already put on this podcast. The topic I've chosen to discuss on the way home is role models and anti-role models. And the reason I've chosen anti-role models is because I'm looking at the kinds of parents that are picking up the kids I teach from school and I'm thinking, holy shit. Okay. Which is very reflective of my childhood, to be honest, because it's the same kind of people. So, I don't know. The whole point of a role model is to present a good example of what to emulate as an adult yourself or as a child. I mean, these are the kinds of people that you want to look up to. People who come from, like stable backgrounds and things like that generally have good role models, I would hope. Although I can't speak for myself because I didn't exactly come back from a good relationship with my parents, so they weren't particularly good role models for me. In fact, they were anti-role models, particularly my dad. Actually, to be honest, my mum as well. Anyway, so yeah, choices. So, what is a good role model? Sorry, I'm slurring because I'm tired. My autism tics are kicking in, and yes, they are real. You'll find me stuttering as well soon. What is a good role model? These are the kinds of people you look up to who are going to help you get ahead in life. They're going to help you make a better life for yourself. They're going to show you ways of doing things that possibly you're unfamiliar with, maybe, that you just need help with, that are going to mentor you into better life chances and things like that. I've probably said that already. Anti-role models are the opposite. They will show you just how easily you can slip and fuck up your life. My parents are one of them. That was my first contact with anti-role models. I'm doing a podcast on both of those sooner or later. I've already done one on my dad. My role models that were positive role models generally came from things like school, where my teachers were seemingly better adults than my parents were. They parented us better, which is probably why I went into teaching myself, because I'm sitting there thinking I get more support at school than I do at home. I feel safer at school than I do at home. No one's hitting me or shouting me or abusing me in school. And these days in schools they also have things like breakfast clubs, so you're getting fed. If you don't have the clothes that you need, you're going to be clothed, because there's always some kind of support group thing. Back when I was in primary school, I started year one in 1991. So you can imagine how old I am. I don't remember anything like breakfast clubs or anything. I know there were initiatives where we got taken nice places because we were deemed like poverty children. But it's like, we're going to do this thing because you can't afford to do anything else. So we're going to fund this bit, or we're going to subsidize it. Yeah, but anything like just having the basic standards, we just didn't have. All my shit was like hand-me-downs and stuff like that, and it's come from my parents. They weren't good with money. They weren't very good with anything, really, in terms of providing and caring for. Even the discipline they used was authoritarian, which is a nice way of saying, step out of line and I'll smack you. Well, in my mom's case. In my dad's case, it was more psychological, verbal abuse, loud, and throwing things, and living in fear. So in terms of womanhood, being that I'm a girl, in terms of biological sense, I don't do the gender thing, but in terms of womanhood, my first contact with what it meant to be an adult woman was my mom. And she was fucking nuts, and she still is fucking nuts. She's toned it down a bit now because she's in her late 60s. She can't fight as much as she used to. Now she tends to try and do guilt tripping and shit. That's crazy. It doesn't work though, because I don't feel guilt. Not after that many years of abuse. I wish, actually. I look at her age and I go, I should feel bad. But no. But what it means to be a woman, or, you know, like a wife even. I never got to the point where I got to be a mother because I had 2 miscarriages, but, you know. It was very skewed from what I wanted it to be. I saw what my friends' mums and parents and things were doing, and I liked them. My friend Andrew, who I've had since year 2, since I was 7, his mum is a bit rough, but she's gorgeous. I mean, she's from Manchester. She's got this, apparently a hearing impediment. I can't hear it. All I hear is the Manchester accent. He keeps telling me. I told him the other day, he's like, I love your mum. She's awesome. But he's like, oh yeah, she's got a hearing impediment. I love her voice. But she's got a hearing impediment. Apparently she went deaf when she was a kid or something like that. But I hear her voice and I'm going, oh, I love that. It's crazy, Manc accents. They're beautiful. But I'm looking at her and I'm looking at my mum, who's, you know, rough as fuck, Cockney background. She came from violence herself. To some degree, there is, you know, an excuse for that kind of thing. But the decision she made wasn't exactly conducive to creating any kind of a scenario where the outcome wouldn't be the way it was. It's like, so when it comes to, you know, forming my own identity and things like that, my mum was not someone I looked up to, or the mum I was given. I mean, there are other mums I've looked at and I'm looking at and going, I like to be like that. Or just women in general, it's like, I like to be like that. I mean, one of the saddest ones, one of my role models who's just died has been the Queen. She was beautiful. She still is. She's just passed into the other side of the world. Well, the other world. But she was a strong role model for me because, you know, my grandma died quite young. I was left with my mum, and other than that, you know, like Diana as well was a good role model for me in terms of mummery, if you wanted to go that far. Womanhood, I had more things like historical figures growing up. I'm big into history, and, you know, like Queen Elizabeth and stuff like that. The first one, not just the second one. And so I use these kind of things from my culture and my heritage to use them as empowering things. Because I grew up in an area that was pretty much shit. And I'm looking at women and things that happen to women in the area. And I'm going, oh, fuck this. I don't want to do this. Because there's a lot of, you know, getting impregnated and being abandoned and being abused. And then turning to drugs and alcohol and things like that. And I'm sitting there looking at these women and going, I don't want to do this either. I don't want to be like my mum. I don't want to be like these women who just sort of throw their lives away hoping for some kind of affection from a guy who just fucks them over in the end. Oh, it sounds horrible, doesn't it? But this was the reality I was raised in. This is what was deemed normal. And if I get one more celebrity asking to be normal, I'm going to slap the fucker because normal is shit. It's shit. Normal is not fun. Normal is a struggle. If you look at the very definition of what normal is, it's what the mass majority is doing. And the mass majority is fucking struggling constantly, with or without COVID, with or without losing fucking businesses because of lockdowns and shit like that, Ukraine wars. So if I get one celebrity saying I want to be normal, no, you don't want to be normal. What you want is the idealized version where everybody gets paid and never has to work. Everybody wants that. Where people just mind their own fucking business and give us free money. It's like, you know, everybody wants that. Oh my gosh. That's why we dream about Lotto. Because we all want to buy that island and just fuck the world off. Pretty much. Or is that just me as an evil villain? I don't know. Oh, Christ. You know, Prince William does my head in. I mean, I follow the royal family because I like them. I like some of them now. Not all of them. Some of them fucking creep me out. Some of them I'm just looking at as spoiled brats. It bugs me. But when I get, like, Prince William, for example, sitting there going, we just want to be normal. It's like, no, you don't. That's not normal. What you want is not normal. What you want is to get free money for doing nothing. And then to have your privacy on top of that. And raise your kids. What he wants is, like, what rich people get without a camera on them. That's the only thing. He just wants to lack the camera. Because you got a bunch of rich people out there that do whatever the fuck they want, and they never have to get a proper job, and they're all trust fund babies and shit like that, and they just do whatever the fuck they want. They don't struggle with fucking anything. And, you know, and the difference between him and one of those is that they don't have cameras on them. That's his version of normal. It's like, I just don't want you to film me. So, you don't. That's not normal. Not that normal ever fucking exists. So I'm afraid he's not really one of my role models. The Queen was, Diana was, but I'm looking at these two that come off of Diana and I'm going, these fucking spoiled kids, man. It's very, very bourgeoisie. It's like, we want the money, we want the perks, we don't want to be working. And I'm sitting there going, well, that's just fucking everyone. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is we have to fucking work, otherwise we die. Because there's no trust fund to back us up, and daddy's not paying for shit, so, My dad never actually paid for shit. So he was in and out of work with Peter Pan syndrome the whole fucking time. We signed on to welfare more times than I had birthdays. Literally, because I only celebrated maybe 2 of my birthdays. Oh my God. Couldn't afford to. That, and they claimed that, you know, we don't do it because it's shopkeeper's day. And I'm like, fuck off. You cheap bastards. Anyway. It was a complicated childhood. I didn't look up to my parents. Even now, it's like, I don't want their approval. You know, I find it fascinating when I come across some of my friends and they're like, my parents are going to be so disappointed. I'm going, fuck that, I'm disappointed in my parents. They sucked. What kind of role models are these? Perpetually broke, barely looking after their kids. It's like, they didn't try. My dad was in and out of work, not because he couldn't do it, because he was so far up his own arse that he didn't think he would have to. These Peter Pan syndrome. Why should I have to grow up when someone else will cover my ass for me? And my mum completely fucking rage quit on us as kids. She was that fucking stressed, couldn't control her emotions, and anything that was remotely stepping out of line, we got the shit kicked out of us. Physically. I remember things that I don't want to remember even now, you know. These are not role models that I wanted. So that is me, like, breaking a generational curse. It's like, I will not be like them. The only thing I have kept like them is I've taken on the same job as my mum. My mum is a teacher. I'm a teacher. I think that's the only thing. And even then, I did that under more recognizing that it's a stable job, and, you know, I get to help kids live in the same situation. I've seen it in action. I've been the recipient of that kind of parenting. So now I want to go to kids and help them and say, look, this is temporary. You can be like that, but you don't have to be like that. Okay, I'm not like that. And my mum was like this. And I've had long conversations about what our parents are doing to us, even with kids like as young as 5, you know, where they've got some really fucked up parents that just smack the fuck out of them. And they come into class and they've got like cuts and bruises and shit like that. And they're not eating properly. And I'm sitting there going, and the whole time I'm sitting there emphasizing, this is not what you need to be when you grow up. You don't have to be like this. You can make your own choices. Just because you see it, just because you receive it, doesn't mean you have to be it. And you have to keep re-emphasizing this, because if they saw it as normal, as this is the only thing that's there, then they're just going to fall into complacency and never try to get out of that hole. You have to keep re-emphasizing it. That is not normal. This is not acceptable. You don't have to be this way. And you definitely don't fucking have to pass that shit on. Don't pass it on. It's not worth keeping. I'm trying to think of some positive role models. So if you didn't have one growing up, you should definitely sure as fuck be one growing up. Or as you are growing up. Like I've heard some of the best quotes is like, be the parent that that you didn't have when you were growing up, or be the adult that you needed when you were growing up. It's like, it's fucking true. I would have been actually, tell the truth, I'm more like a weird aunt. I'm not much of a parent. And in the classroom, I'm pretty laid back and chill. I don't get angry or anything like that, because I know they're fucking kids, man. They're just babies. They don't know any better. And everything that they are kicking up over is generally because some fucked up adult has stepped in and told them they have to be that way or they have to react that way. And I'm looking at a shitload of toxic men in my generation following the orders of their fucked up parents, saying this is what you have to be. And I'm going, no, it doesn't fucking make sense. It doesn't make sense. So now I'm trying to get my kids, especially my boys, oh God, and my girls, actually, Jesus, trying to get them away from these fucked up personas that the parents are pushing on them. I'm going, look, that's one way of looking at it, but there are other ways of looking at this. You can do this. You can be like this. You can go off and find yourself. I mean, seriously, because they're growing up in low SES areas. They're looking at their parents, which are going and nicking stuff and breaking into houses and shit like that, selling drugs to keep shit running. I'm going, dude, don't. My kids keep saying, why are you always wearing so much jewelry? I'm going, and I emphasize it, I do. I say, and I know these kids have knowledge of what their parents are up to. They know. I know. Because they think it's funny. And we have jokes about, meth labs and things, which is totally inappropriate with an 11-year-old, but we do. Because it's just that kind of area, that's in the area. But I say, look, I never did drugs, and I've never done drugs. I don't smoke. I've maybe had like a puff of a cigar, a puff of a cigarette. Didn't like either. Fuck it, I'm not doing that. I don't drink. I tried social drinking for a while. It doesn't bother me. I'm not into it. I don't do anything that's negative in that way. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So I can afford to go and buy these nice experiences or nice things for me. And I keep emphasizing that because in the lower classes, I say lower classes, but in low SES areas, I don't know if we've got much of a class system here in Australia, where the kids are skin and they're living hand to mouth and their parents are living hand to mouth. There is a huge emphasis on money. It is poverty. If you don't have it, it cycles in your brain all the fucking time. All the fucking time. It's like an addiction. You're kind of paranoid about losing it. You don't know where you're going to get it from. And it's in their brain too, because they're only babies. They're constantly having their parents cracking on about, oh, I can't afford this, can't do this, can't do that. Or things, like where we're going to get the rent from, where we're going to get the bills from, and it's in their head too, and they're only babies, they can't cope with that shit, so it becomes this snowballing thing. That is the main theme. So when they see someone like me rock up, this totally chill, awesome teacher, of course, coated in silver jewelry, and I'm sorry to say, absolutely fucking coated at this point. I've got anklets and everything, I've got nipple piercings, yeah, but they don't see those though. It seems to be some anomaly and they can't quite get past why I don't look like I crawled out of a dumpster. And it sounds a bit arrogant, but yeah. But they're like, oh, why do you wear so much jewelry? Where'd you get that from? Sort of shit. And it keeps their attention while I'm teaching them as well. And they're more inclined to listen to me because I am the anomaly in the room. The rest of the teachers are pretty basic. They don't wear anything that's flashy or anything like that. They don't drive an interesting car. They everything's beaten up and, because they've reprioritized where their money goes. But the kids want to know, where am I getting this stuff from? How can I afford this? Am I rich? And it's like, well, no, actually, I just don't do the stupid things that your parents are doing to waste and piss money down the drain. So I can afford to do the things I like to do that look better or feel better. And I keep re-emphasizing that. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. It's like, you have to get those fucking habits out of them. So if you can't have good role models, you have to provide one for them. We are surrogate parents as teachers. And I'm not necessarily saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that given knowing the outcome of what these experiences could be for them, would you rather have a teacher who turns up shitload of jewelry, clean, sober, or would you rather have a parent that's a crackhead, teeth missing, black, sunken eyes, smells? Which would you rather giving moral discussions to? It's like, which would you rather talking to your kid, Providing a role model. It's like, do you want to be like that or do you want to be like this? My dad is probably the best anti-role model I've got for personal hygiene I've ever seen. And my God, the man is disgusting. But my mum is the polar opposite. She's super clean because she married him, I guess. I don't know. But I've had the role models and the anti-role models. And it's like they're just as important. The anti-role models are just as important as the role models. we all want someone to look up to, someone to look like, someone to be like, someone who has the best values maybe, or the best morals, or, you know, and I'm not just saying, oh, I just want to be pretty like, blah. I want this person's hair. It's like, blah. That's menial shit. What you need is someone who is going somewhere with their life, who knows what the fuck they're doing, because nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, who at least is trying to give off the impression that they know what the fuck they're doing. You know, not the lying ones that are clearly shit at their job, but, you know, pretty solid, sturdy people that are calm is what I'm going for. It's like, my role models at this point are not like the multi-billionaires and shit like that. They are the people that are staying morally clean in an entire miasma of bullshit. These are my role models. I'm looking at people who are tolerant of other people's views and beliefs. So I'm looking into other different spiritual sides of things. I'm interested in that right now. It might die out. I don't know. I go through phases where I fixate. That's me. But I don't look to people who could just make the most money or get the most updates, or, you know, it's like, I know the lifestyle I've chosen is very different from, well, not very different, but for the most part, it's not the 9-to-5 kids' house mortgage bullshit. Eventually, I will get another mortgage. I don't want the kids. I could give a fuck at this point whether I get married or not. I've been married. It's not got the same clout as it did when I was in my teens. I was like, ooh, getting married, yeah. I would like to be married. I'm not against it. But I'm looking at the people around me, and my counterparts, and I'm going, these are not role models that I want to emulate. They look very unhappy. I would rather be happy and alone than with someone and fucking miserable or bored. And I'm not saying I bore easily that much. It's usually when people start playing mind games and dumb shit like that I get very fucking bored, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. My ex-boyfriend used to play mind games all the time, or attempt to. He was pretty shit at them. And I got bored to the point where I cannot tolerate this level. First of all, you think I'm stupid to not get this. And second of all, it's like, it's just drawing shit out that's taking forever. The tedium. Just suck the life out of the relationship. So that's not a role model that I would go for. People who use money to manipulate as well, wankers. Can't stand them. I'm like, you've got to be so far up your own arse to think that you have that level of ability to buy someone out. I don't know. Some people can be bought. It's pretty, yeah, I don't agree with that either. I don't think you should sell your soul just to fucking join a club or some shit like that. I don't get that. If these are your real beliefs and something you hold very true to yourself, then it's okay to belong to that group. But if someone can just buy your affections, no. Or bullshit to get your affection, I don't. My role models, oh gosh. My role models, historical figures. If it's celebrity, if it is, because of my familiar role models. I love my brother though. My brother's awesome. He's a good role model. He's a good solid man. I would leave him with a kid anytime. It's like, you are a good solid man. I am not going to have to worry about you at all. You are absolutely all right. So, you know, that's a good accolade to come from a woman who's been fucked over by men her entire life. So it's like, this one's all right. And I don't give my approval out very willy-nilly. It's like, if you can solidly prove to me that you're a good guy, I'm like, right, you're in for life, dude. I will drop tools to do whatever you want to do. Let's do. Reliability. It's not just the Taurus in me, it's also the 37-year-old woman. But I don't want, like, extroverted people give me the shits. They just do. To me, it's like you're sticking your head above the trenches. You're drawing attention to your incompetencies. It's like, why not be introverted and keep hold of your flaws, potentially, if they're there? I mean, why show all your cards anyway? These are not role models to me. I can't stand extroverts. Oh, they give me the shits. The louder, the more annoying. It's just like, oh, you're just drawing attention to you, stupid now. It's like, just shut up. Introverts. I think, honestly, yeah. probably the best way. But some people are into that. Some people are like, oh my God, they're so friendly and so loud. Wow, they're just so hands-on. It's like, if anyone touched me, I'll fucking thump them. I don't like that. Don't do that. I would not go around touching people. I don't. I don't know if it's because I'm British. I don't know. It's like, you keep your fucking hands to yourself or you lose them, boy. Sorry. Very light cough. Definitely not COVID. Not that we're going to admit to it because we have to work anyway. Yay! Yeah, it's hard to find good role models. I've been surrounded by anti-role models. I've been surrounded by a shitload of examples of what not to be and what not to do. What are you doing? See, there's another fucking idiot in the semi-trailer. Okay, there's an example of what not to do. I don't know. I don't think any of these fuckers are getting anywhere in particular. Although I do draw, like comparisons. I know we're not supposed to because we're all traveling our own individual, unique life path and things like that. And nobody's facing the exact same circumstances from the exact same perspective. We've all got our own narrative. If you want to go into narrative study, that's a pretty cool thing, sociologically, psychologically. I did both. We've all got our own stories. Storytelling. I love stories. I love movies. I love books. All of which come from the inside of the writer. All of them. All interpretivist. Anyway, I could dribble on about that. Probably bore the tits off you. So everyone's got their own version of what being a good role model is. Anti-role models I've been surrounded by. I've seen a shitload of consequence as well. I am a connoisseur of consequence. Both in a good way and a bad way. In a good way, I'm like, okay, so that didn't work out for them. Okay, so we're not going to do that. In a bad way, it's me being a little bit vindictive, going, you fucking idiot, you deserve that. But I think we might all be like that a bit, That's why there's so many fail videos on YouTube. We enjoy it. We do. Someone gets injured, we're like, good. Anyway. What can we do with our role models? Try and seek out some people that are decent role models. If you didn't come from a good background, like I didn't come from a good background, try and find people that were good people. Like my granddad Bob was he wanted to be a puppet master. He wanted to use money to lord it over us. My parents were incompetent financially, and so they borrowed money off him because they're morons. But either they were morons or they were naive. They were hoping maybe that he wouldn't be an asshole. I don't know. But once he got, they borrowed money off him, they were in his pocket, which I learnt as an anti-role model. It's like, fair play. Okay, so what's the rule here? What did we learn? Don't borrow money off of fucking anyone. Because this is what happens afterwards. So I've never borrowed money. Even if when I went to my own parents, I went to my parents maybe twice. First time for a booster to the bond to my first house. I'm like, can I borrow $1,000 or something like that? They said no. I'm like, okay. I'll ask one more time maybe. But after that, you're fucked. Because my parents don't do anything for free. They will not give you anything for free. Everything comes with a tag. Everything has to be owned. I mean, it sets you up for life, yeah. But in a horrible way, because if you're in a bind and these are your parents that are meant to look after you, they don't. So you are forced to stand on your own 2 feet. Even if you think you're going to collapse. But there's no one to cushion the blow. There's no one to say, they're there, it's okay. I mean, I look at some of my friends who are pretty fucking soft. Like my friend Andrew's been living at home since he moved out. He's 37 himself. This is my best friend from year 2. He's 37. He lives at home with his parents. They are in their late 60s. And they've cushioned him a lot. His sister has moved out, had a family, got a house and all the 9 to 5 picket fence shit. He has not. He is very much a case of failure to launch. I'm not sure what kind of role models he's using, but he's not handling his shit very well. He's still in the infantile stage. He's still being nursed by his parents, as far as I'm concerned. I was like, and there is a degree of they are starting to get older themselves, so they might need care from him. But at the same time, I'm like, there is a gap in the middle of a gray area there where you were supposed to leave and you didn't. Or if he did, he went for like a year. And I do remember him having a share house at one point, back in his mid-20s, but I'm like, this is just getting creepy now. I don't know what his goals or anything like that are. My goals at this point are changing. So I'm trying to find role models that I can look up to that have the right kind of perspective, the right kind of mindset. Bob, my granddad Bob, was not one of them. He had some useful tips when it comes to money. He was very money oriented. Again, a Taurus like me. He was born 2 days after me. My ex-boyfriend was born 2 days after me, same birthday. Ooh, there's a sign. Ominous. He was born on the 5th of May. I was born on the 3rd. So, yeah. Anyway, I have 2 birthdays. You can't tell which one's mine. But for the most part, I knew that I couldn't be bought because I had him as an anti-role model growing up. I had my parents as the anti-role model. I had him as my anti-role model. My younger sister, is the extrovert anti-role model. It's like, I am just not like you. But she was useful in her own right, and that's because of my selective mutism. I could just stick her out in front in public scenarios, and she'd talk for me. And of course, she's this tiny little thing. She's bouncy little thing. She's tiny. She's round, and she's got like this massive long blonde hair at the time. I don't know what it is now, but she's loud, big blue eyes. And she would just be in their fucking face for me. And I'd be sitting in the background with my, tall and skinny and like just letting her, and quiet and just letting her go for it. Like, and then if I wanted something, I'd just sort of talk in her ear and then she'd go get it or go and handle it. And I was like, yes, teamwork. Because I am not a good social talker. She's in part a good role model. She's feistier than I am. I'm pretty chill and laid back, but she's got the gift. She's got the gift of the gab. She's good. My brother is a good role model. He is a bear of a man. He's great. He's a gorgeous man. His wife is lucky. She could have had someone way worse than that. And if the most problem he has, the worst thing he has is that he eats too much. Fuck her. It's like that's it. That's the bad thing. He's an emotional eater, and he's got a lot of heart, and I love that about him. I've not had a lot of men who can show their emotions like that. I mean, I remember when Bob died and we found him dead. Like, he was wearing a dressing gown, face down, with his dick out, a puddle of blood. This is Granddad Bob, the puppet master, manipulator, asshole, general whore man, ladies man. He was just not a good guy. My brother actually cried when he saw him dead on the floor. I'm going, do you not remember what he was like? Maybe I'm just a bit sadistic or cut off, I don't know. But I tend to remember how people treat me. And it kind of, translates to how I treat them later on. So my brother is very soft. I love soft men. I really do. Because it was never allowed. Like, my mum didn't allow us to be soft as girls. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And they fucking did. This wasn't just a toxic masculine thing. My mum made toxic females too. Not in the gold digging kind of horrible way, but she made like women who push feelings aside and just get the fuck on with the job. And for itself, it has some purpose, but any maternal feeling I had was pushed away, and I had to relearn it and encourage it when I was older. And it made my teaching job a bit harder, because as soon as a kid falls over, you're like, shut the fuck up and get up. But it's relearnable. And that information, that kind of stuff, I learned from looking at the EAs. And I love my EAs, my ed assistants. Mostly mums, mostly older ladies who are just there as a spare pair of hands. And they're the most nurturing, amazing people. And I thoroughly encourage, if you can ever, to go and just hang out with these people, because they got a wealth of experience and they know how to look after kids. Like, teachers are full on, we do look after kids, but most of the time we're stressed out by our fucking eyeballs, trying to get jobs done and meetings and all the extra crap. But the EAs are sitting there and they've really got time for the kids. One-on-one, most of the time one-on-one, because that's what we do, especially if they're special needs EAs. These are amazing, mostly women, although I've seen some guy ones, but they're amazing people. I think in the last 12 years of teaching, I think there's maybe 2 EAs that have pissed me off. And I've seen hundreds. I've worked with hundreds. They're gorgeous people. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of those. They're good role models. So that's where I got all my sort of mothering skills from. I was looking at my older sister as well when she went through child rearing and all that with her 2 kids, her 2 girls. I was looking at the way she was treating them, and she seems to have done the same thing. She's looked at my mum, said, I'm not doing that, and she's gone the other way. So she's really soft with her kids. She's a bit, rough and tumble now because, she owns a farm and she works on a farm. So they have to have a certain level of sturdiness. But she was watching her as a kid, like with the babies and with the toddlers. And she was really soft. She was really good as a mum. She really is good as a mum, I should say. So the 4 kids, I think despite having shit role models, we looked at, maybe all of us looked at our parents or our extended family and said, I'm not fucking doing that, and I'm stopping. I'm just not doing it. So it's absolutely up to you what kind of person you turn out to be. I mean, there are, of course, experiences you're going to go through where, you can't help feeling a certain way. Maybe you've been sexually assaulted, as I have, or maybe you've lived in poverty. Maybe you've had abusive ex-husbands like I have, or ex-boyfriends like I have, or abusive abusive families, and just shit circumstances where you lose your home, you lose your business, you just lose. It's even living in low SES areas, lifestyle is a constant losing of things. You get used to loss in a big way. It's like 2018, my parents, 2 of my grandparents just died within months of each other, and I was homeless and in debt, and I lost my business, and I lost my, what I was doing in uni as well, because I just couldn't keep all that shit together. I had separated from my ex-husband, who was a non-monogamous cheating prick. So my resilience, I think, with that just comes from tacit knowledge of losing. You get used to losing. You get used to the fact that things are impermanent. It's very, if you can go talk to someone who's lived in a low SES area, and they will teach you resilience. They are hard as fucking nails. And I love these new people that are getting used to losing their jobs and stuff. These new people with COVID lockdowns and Ukraine wars and stuff like that. Rich people now are losing. And I'm sorry, it's a bit cruel, but I'm laughing my ass off because they're finally getting a taste of what it's like to be poor. And I can't, I giggle because I know it's impermanent as well for them, because I know as soon as Ukraine war stops and everything like that, everything go back up to the way it was, mostly, because they've got things like savings and they're not living hand to mouth. But the slight blip of finally them getting some of what our reality is I find hilarious. It's like, oh no, I can't get the Waitrose caviar. It's like, oh God, no. While I'm sitting there eating plastic cheese. It's like, I bought cheese today. I am stoked. I don't care if it's the plastic stuff. That's gourmet. But try and find genuine role models, genuinely good, soulful role models. Don't look for the plasticized reality of celebrity or rich people or social climbing fucks, because that too is impermanent. You're only going to be the flavor of the month for God knows how long. You look at celebrities like the Kardashians where they're flashing the cash and I've got this much money and shit like that. I'm sitting going, you are just becoming a target for someone to rob, abduct, rape. It's like, don't be fucking stupid. It's like they think they're hot shit because they've got all this stuff. It's like, it's just creating problems. I was listening to Jay-Z, 99 Problems, but I think that's a different topic. I love that song too. So, try and find something that's whole soulful. Look for something that's real. Find something that's going to have longevity as well as a role model. Don't just go for, well, this is what's in my vicinity, so I have to accept it. Or this is what will get me this now. I mean, you look for something that will get you like something in the long term. Like I looked at all my teachers and I'm saying, okay, these are the kinds of people that have their shit together. They're not like my parents. I want to be like these people. That long-term stability is what I aimed for. if I wanted to be like my parents, Jesus Christ, that would have gone crazy. That would have been just perpetuating generational curses, and I don't think we're supposed to be doing that anymore. So I'm just going to leave it there, I think. I think it's up to you as an individual to make your own rules, make your own life. We are the creators of our own reality. That is Nietzsche. He was right. I think there's Carl Jung in there somewhere as well. If you wanted to go and Google that. Something about identity and shit. Sounds very scientific. Yeah, I know, because I'm a fucking genius. Anyway, so I'm going to go eat some dinosaur corn snackies. And some eggs and some mixed veg, because I got it cheap. And I will leave you till tomorrow, because I don't know what the topic is for tomorrow, but I'm really hungry and tired. So I'll leave it there. Bye.
Music, what you really hear when you hear melody is the interval between one tone and another. Steps, as it were, on the scale. It's the interval. So in the same way, in the intervals between this year's leaves, last year's leaves, this